There have been dramatic developments at two of South Africa's state-owned enterprises this week. We asked the Democratic Alliance's Shadow Minister of Public Enterprises, Mr. Ghaleb Cachalia, for his opinions. Welcome, sir.
Thank you for having me.
May we start with power and the rather sudden exit of former COO, Mr. Jan Oberholzer?
Well, Mr. Oberholzer has been with Eskom for 30 years. And he was retired at the age of 65. And then he was given a 2-year contract, an advisory contract, to assist with Kusile and Koeberg. And that has come to a rather sudden halt. Now, I was in contact with Mr. Oberholzer, and Mr. Oberholzer assures me that there's nothing sinister about it, that he chose to leave, and that he feels rather that he can be more of assistance to the whole power scenario from outside Eskom rather than inside Eskom. Now, I think that's probably a good thing in some ways, because Mr. Oberholzer is an expert in transmission. That's his forte. And Kusile is a power coal generative facility. So he may not know nothing about that, but I think it's best that they give that to someone who really knows their onions there. And a nuclear facility, as in Koeberg, is another story. That's for absolutely nuclear experts. So if what Mr. Oberholzer says to me is correct, and there's nothing sinister there, and that has come to, and he's moving on at his request, then that's all well and good. If he was forced out, which we don't know, then we need to know why.
Mm-hmm. Because I attended a talk he gave very recently, during which he detailed his plans for the next couple of years and gave a timeline, and he didn't speak like a man who was intending on leaving.
Yes, I mean this is very sudden, and that's the issue. You know, we've in Eskom become rather used to sudden departures, and this is yet another sudden departure. And we need continuity, and we need continuity of strategy and a continuity of input into operations. And if we have these continual sudden departures, Mr. Director, Mr. Oberholzer, the head of generations before, who couldn't take the pressure because there was so much pressure on him that his health was suffering, then these things need to be examined rather carefully in terms of how Eskom is recruiting and keeping people.
I see the Minister of Electricity has expressed concern that the refurbishment of Koeberg is far behind. Do you think there could be a link between Mr. Oberholzer's departure and that?
Well, Mr. Oberholzer was not really in charge of Koeberg for any particular length of time. Even his contractual involvement there was rather short. Koeberg's problems predate Mr. Oberholzer, and they are not going to go away in a hurry. Koeberg's problems are well documented. They're documented with Atomic Energy Agency. They are documented in terms of the license that they applied to. They're documented in terms of the operational mess they found themselves in. They are documented in terms of them dropping of one of the boilers, as you will remember. These are things that are not related to Mr. Oberholzer.
You recently warned that we were going to return to higher stages again because the power plants were being run too hard. And it seems that your predictions have come true.
Yes, well, I hate it when my predictions come true in a wrong way. But there you have it. We are in a place where we are being fed pie in the sky by the Minister of Electricity, and when the rubber hits the road, as it were, then there's another story to be had. And clearly, what we were told was not strictly true.
May I take you from power to ports?
Yes.
When we last spoke, you expressed despair over the state of our ports, and today we got news that the biggest one in Africa has been partially privatized. What do you think of that?
Well, I welcome the fact that the penny has finally dropped. We have been pushing for the privatization, or the partial privatization, or public-private partnerships to fix the problem where the state couldn't deliver. They have now entered into a contractual arrangement with a private entity in Indonesia for a period of 25 years, and that augurs well. We need to know, in terms of transparency, exactly what the terms of the contract were, how it was awarded, and if there were, we need to make sure that there's nothing remiss there, because in these state-owned enterprises, various contracts from Takatsu to God knows what have been remiss and have had many questions around them. We don't want questions around this one. We want things to be done properly, and that requires complete transparency. But as I say, it's a welcome step. It's a step in the right direction, and it needs to be pushed across the board in Transnet, because Transnet's in a mess. Transnet is in a holy mess where profits are down, cash flow is down, revenue is down, and this in spite of a 5.6 billion rand injection bailout into the entity, and the executive is still in place. We've had a new board. The new board doesn't look bad. Let's see if we can bring this ship to port and in order.
Mm-hmm. Do you think semi-privatisation is ultimately going to be the solution to rescuing our troubled SOEs?
Well, the state has demonstrated in South Africa that it has been unable, across the board, in every single SOE, to deliver. When there is market failure in a particular area, in the state area, then you have to look to other areas to dig you out of the hole. And the other area, there's only one other area, and that's private industry. So you have to start by doing partnerships with private industry, and if that works, hallelujah. If that doesn't work, or it needs more intensive involvement from the private sector, then you have to be open to that. But let's take baby steps. It's a good start.
How are you feeling about the upcoming election and beyond?
Well, the upcoming election is going to be an extremely important and a very interesting election, to say the least. The ANC is scrambling to keep the votes that it had. The votes that it had weren't stellar. They're going to be considerably less. The coalition, which the Moonshot Pact, as it's called, which we are putting together, is looking stronger by the day. The polls are looking sound, but a week, as they say, is a very long time in politics. We have many weeks to go. So let's see. But it's looking very good, and it's looking good for the nation, because we need something politically different here. We cannot have, in the interests of a capable state, in the interests of a social market economy which holds everything together, in the interests of non-racialism, in the interests of bringing corruption to an end, we cannot continue the way we are. So we are in a position now to move at speed. And believe me, we are.
Thank you. That was the Democratic Alliance's Shadow Minister for Public Enterprises speaking to BizNews about power and ports. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.